Olá,
Olá, Helena.
boa tarde a todas e a todos.
Olá, Helena.
Olá.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our session, our brainstorm today. We are Técnicos Student Club on Mental Health and Inclusion. This club started because Belle is the founder of the Academic Development Office and a specialist psychologist in clinical and health psychology. Carolina is the coordinator of Technical Student Support Unit and a psychosocial assistant. Today, our brainstorm will be in partnership with Community by InnoEnergy, which João will present.
Thank you very much, Kika. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming for this mental health session. I will share how to manage all the feelings we have inside and we don't have anyone to talk to. More or less is like this. More will come with Isabel and Carolina. And I hope you enjoy this session we prepared for you. Thank you very much.
So now the introductions made, I'm going to ask Isabel and Carolina, please start your presentation.
Okay, thank you, Kika. I must just start by correcting something. Me and Carolina are both psychologists. Not Carolina is not a social worker. She's a psychologist as myself, and I believe that we are both specialized in educational and clinical psychology, which is kind of challenging, right, Carolina? We are going to do this presentation together. I'm going to start sharing my screen. So the theme of our presentation is You Are Not Alone, and we are going to talk about the sense of belonging at IST. I'm going to stop sharing for the moment since I want to share another thing with you. And I'm going to start our presentation by showing a small video. I hope you like it. I don't know if you know it already. Okay, so this is just the introduction that we have chosen for you. And I think that it is pretty clear what we intend with that small video. And the general idea is that when we are together, we are a strength and we can defend ourselves in an easier way than when we are alone. On that, we are very social animals, and we are social. Our directiveness to grow and to be able to do all the wonderful things that we. I'm going to quote special author Saul Levine. He says most important contributors to health, longevity, and so it doesn't really matter if we call it a clan, a network, a tribe, or community. And so I believe that this word community really is very important. Somewhat different concepts, but we also have to reach out to people are just, talking without masks, watching each. We believe that individuals with a sense of belonging have meaningful relationships with others who like and appreciate them. So when people have shared values, activities, customs, and rituals like Christmas or Easter or the Arraial in Técnico, all of these are sort of rituals that bring people together and help them form community. These relationships usually are mutual and they are cherished and they are used as a means of support, especially in difficult moments. So one big challenge for us at the moment is if we cannot do this, how can we still build a sense of community? This is the challenge. I'm not going to be very theoretical. I could, but I will try not to. But I think it's important that we try to understand that there are different types of loneliness. We can consider the social sort of loneliness when we don't feel or there isn't any social connection, and or we are dissatisfied with the connections with other people that we have. But we can be social beings, but not be connected emotionally. And these we call the emotional loneliness feeling. Or we can have a rather different, maybe more serious kind of feeling of loneliness that is existential loneliness, when we feel that we are so different from everybody else that we are very much alone in the world. And this has got a clear relation with social isolation. So what this means is that we feel we have a very, very short, a very small quantity of connections. And so we can have this feeling that we are isolated. That is, there's no one to reach out, even if we want to. And all of these, the feeling of loneliness, social isolation, are very different from solitude. That is a state of voluntary aloneness. And many people are now writing, I don't know if you've read something on this, that this time of COVID and the pandemics and the isolation that comes with trying to avoid the virus from spreading, isolate people if they don't make the effort to be connected with others. We will see what we can do to try to deal with this. But one thing that I would like to stress is that especially in the phase of adulthood, young adulthood, and most of you probably are in young adulthood. For me, I am already in middle adulthood, but for those of you who are in young adulthood, this psychologist Erickson said that it is a very special task that you all have to do, and that is to try to build intimacy. And the opposite of intimacy is isolation. So the challenge for those of you going through this time of your life is to avoid isolating yourselves and to do whatever you can to still try to develop a sense of intimacy with some people. Now, we will see how we can do this and why it is so important to do this. We know, and there are lots of studies that say that people who are alone, and this person over here looks a lot more isolated than just alone, they will have decreased memory. They are at a higher risk for drug abuse, be it drugs or alcohol or whatever, leads to brain changes, to heart problems, eventually to depression, and most certainly to higher stress or anxiety. So it's the general idea is that we have to do some effort, that put some effort into connecting. And sometimes I speak with colleagues and they'll tell me, oh, I really need to go to Technico, or I need to go to my friend's yard or something, because I really have to see someone. And I really understand that, because we are social animals and we have to connect. And if we don't connect personally, even if at a distance, we must do it online or in whatever means we can, but at the same time staying safe. In Technico, well, we have this idea that social isolation nowadays is a problem, and it already was a problem in 2016, before the pandemics, since almost 40% of adults felt lonely and unsupported by others. This has a relationship with the boom with internet and the connection, sort of, between people, but not in real conditions. So nowadays, with the pandemics, this is obviously even worse. I believe you know that in Technico we have built a way to reach out to those people who have COVID, and especially if students come from abroad or are not living with their family, they are away from home and they have COVID, they can, when they are assessed, and when they communicate with Technico that they are not feeling well and they are diagnosed with COVID, Technico can activate lots of support for them. Ana Lucia Barbosa is here. She's the one doing this job. So, but in general, what can you do? First, signs may be affecting your well-being. If your sleep is disturbed, if you feel social withdrawal, if you have difficulty focusing, and some ideas on how to reduce the negative effects of isolation: to exercise, to create and stick to a routine, especially a routine where you are awake when everybody else is, and it can be in the evening or during the day. So this is something to take into account, and to actively reach out for social connections. So I'm nearly finishing and passing on to Carolina. So some of the ideas that will help you maintain social connectedness. First, embrace your feelings, accept whatever you are feeling. If you are angry or if you are sad, accept that. And accept that feelings are not positive nor negative. They just signal actions to take in order to feel comfortable. Try to understand when you are feeling lonely, especially if it manifests in physical sensations or physiological sensations. For instance, the change in patterns of sleep. and try to meet new people online. If you don't know where to start, and some people already have a connection. For instance, we are very much worried at the moment with students from the first year because it's more difficult for them to make connections to new people. So try to choose people and networks where you share the interests of people there. Try to keep things in perspective and try to connect. That is, using whatever means are closer to the real interaction. That is, try to have face-to-face interaction. So Zoom is better than changing emails or changing messages, because you will see them later and you won't see the person in front of you. Other things that you can do is to, now we are beginning this confinement, try to go to places, especially gardens or museums or concerts. And you can also do these activities online. For instance, you can join with some colleagues and see a concert online or see a movie online, and then discuss what you feel and what has happened in what you have been doing. At least try to spend 15 minutes each day talking to someone you really love and who loves you and who knows you well. Reach out to the resources at your disposal at IST. So the general idea is that a sense of belonging is something that will make us feel happy, and loneliness will make us feel left out and sometimes sad and isolated. So I'm going to pass on to Carolina, and she will now speak to you about the resources at IST that you can use. Carolina, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Isabel. So I would like to start with this statement that Técnico is a community. So each part has a key role. We are talking about students, professors, researchers, staff, alumni, corporate partnerships, and students are the reason for its existence. And the success of Técnico mission depends on the quality of their experience. So I will focus this part of the presentation on the activities that Técnico have for students, okay, that students can engage. And we know that Técnico is huge and can be a very demanding reality. So these activities try to promote personal, academic, social, and professional engagement and well-being of students. Ideally, the sense of belonging would start before arriving at Técnico. So the Técnico has some actions that tries to make the bridge and keep track with interest students before admission. Student support units goes to schools, fairs, and have ambassadors that are students that represent Técnico and want to share their experience with prospective students. Also, the international unit makes these actions all over the world. So I will talk about these activities that happens throughout the academic pathway to improve the student integration and where students can get involved. And this journey starts with becoming a student, and it doesn't finish when students graduate, because Técnico wants to keep this relationship and that alumni still is a part of the community. So when becoming a student, thank you, Isabel. It is important, it is a very important moment. Técnico has more than 2,000 students every year on both campus, and there is a joint effort from all the community to guarantee the best experience when arriving to this new reality. So new students may feel lost and overwhelmed. So when they come to register, it is the moment where they become students. They have older students from the same degree that are mentors, that are guiding them through a program that Técnico prepares, where they will visit the campus, meet colleagues, teachers, have a welcome ceremony, and also visit the surrounding of the campus and the city. So this mentoring program that Técnico has was pioneer in our country. It's considered an example of success. We have more than 500 students volunteering to guide new students of their degree. They met on the first day and then they stay in relationship during the academic year. It started to be like a need because they felt lost, and nowadays they want to retribute the value of the experience to the new students that arrive. So these peer activities and networking are promoted by the Student Support Unit, which has a team of student guides, okay, that prepare all the activities and send now a regular newsletter every month. And we have different types of mentors. So there are the regular mentors, and then we have the mobility and international mentors, in which we prepare a special program with the international unit to receive the students that need to integrate in the city, okay, to get to know our culture. So we prepare a culture clash and lots of activities. Now this semester the reception was online. It started with the welcome ceremony by the international unit, and then we prepared some get-togethers, some quiz so that they will know our culture. And we have a special program which is around Lisbon in 80 days that we are hoping to start soon, so that they can get to know our city in a safety way. And there are several activities, cultural activities, sportive activities, and very moments so that they can interact and get in touch with each other. Also, we have other type of activities during the year, which is workshops about soft skills. We choose the themes based on the student interests, and we also, this is important because we have some mental health teams and interpersonal relationship teams. And we are available from Monday to Friday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. to help students. Now we are at a distance of a click to a Zoom call, so you can find us very easily. And soon we hope that students can get to us at the reception of the main building. Then there are also activities of academic development that promote a sense of belonging. So all students are entitled to a tutor. It is a professor at IST that assists a group of students from the first and the second academic years, and that seek to develop and enhance their academic experience, emotional and interpersonal potential. There are a new initiative, which is the online study rooms. So the Academic Development Office organizes these online study rooms where students can join and study together. So it's an opportunity to interact and get involved. And also have training about transversal competencies and soft skills relevant to the community. and also academic coaching, which is individual sessions where students can clarify their doubts about academic performance, study plans, and manage their study life. And then there are a lot of student activities that are organized by student groups. The Students' Union, it's a major resource at Técnico. It exists since Técnico exists, and they have recreational activities. Isabel talked about Arraial. It's a major party. Unfortunately, it cannot happen now, but they are mobilizing themselves and organizing other activities. So we advise to get in touch with the Students' Union. They also have some sport and health activities, as well as social responsibility and volunteering and training for students. There are also the group of students and clubs, such as the Mental Health Club, that are organizing this talk. And I would also refer to the delegates. Okay, it is a major help to students to deal with the academic and pedagogical issues. And also students can get involved in that way. They can become delegates themselves, and they can become part of these groups. And it's an opportunity to get involved in extracurricular projects and stay in touch with other colleagues. Then, when students feel like they don't know how to deal by themselves with some problems, they can go to the health services. So Técnico has health services as well as the university. There are several specialties. You have clinical, so psychological support, psychotherapy, and psychiatric sessions. And also there is a helpline at university that students can seek for emotional support, and it's open to all the U-Lisboa community. And when students come to the end of the journey and graduate, it is not really the end. So Técnico intends that students maintain the connection after graduation. So they become alumni, and there is the Técnico Alumni Network. It's a very strong network, and they organize several events for students with Técnico. There are the alumni talks that are prepared by the Transfer and Technology unit with the student support. And there is this major event at the Day of Técnico, which is Keep in Touch, where all generations come together, and you can really feel this spirit of community. And if I don't know about time, I can share this small video to show you the
Carolina, queres que eu interrompa para tu compartilhares a tela? Não dá?
Não, está no slide anterior, à direita, em baixo.
Mas é que ele não corre, é como o meu vídeo.
Não estamos a ver o vídeo, estamos só a ver a parte do
Eu tenho guardado sempre uma ligação forte ao técnico, mesmo em termos profissionais tenho várias interações regulares com o técnico e, portanto, continua a ser a minha casa.
Acho curioso que, apesar de já terem passado muitos anos, continua-me a parecer um sítio familiar e não estranho.
É a nostalgia, relembrar sítios onde passámos, os laboratórios que agora estive lá, portanto, recordar os tempos que ali passei.
Fico muito contente, quase emocionado. Não sei, voltar a entrar em contacto com isto, fez parte da minha vida e eu gosto de continuar a estar integrado e ver aqui antigos colegas meus que agora são professores.
É emotivo realmente estar de volta.
Que continua a progredir como tem até agora e cada vez melhor.
Espero que o técnico continue a ter o sucesso que teve até agora, seja uma faculdade de prestígio, que continue tudo bem assim.
Consiga manter a qualidade de ensino que tem tido até agora.
Continua a ser a escola de excelência que é, com as pessoas de excelência que tem. São pessoas brilhantes e dedicadas.
O técnico está todos os anos de parabéns e mais uma vez esta iniciativa também muito de parabéns e votos de tudo bom na evolução desta escola.
A vossa presença aqui dos antigos alunos, mas também dos atuais alunos, é um testemunho do quanto esta escola nos marcou a todos. Muito obrigado, espero que se tenham divertido muito aqui e agora passava então a palavra às tunas para cantarmos os parabéns a vocês, ao Instituto Superior Técnico, que hoje festeja 106 anos.
So I'm sorry for the Portuguese version, but I think it showed a little bit of the context where everybody gets together. Unfortunately, nowadays it is very difficult to bring people together. So I think that there were problems before. Even though we have all
Quando temos da faculdade há depois um afastamento muito grande.
Now we feel it worse. So clearly it is not enough, the activities that we have, and the services are joining together to evaluate the needs of the students, the mental health and all the problems that they may identify, so that we can make the activities better. And it is also important that students can do that movement towards the resources that Técnico have, because sometimes we can be so lost and alone that we don't have the strength to do that movement. But it is important to seek for help when students need. And Técnico is so big and have so many services that sometimes it's difficult to find the right response or where to seek help. So the Student Support Unit is where you can go and you can find all the answers. If there is something we can help you, we can forward you to that response. So come to us and we will try our best helping you.
Thank you so much for your presentation. I think it was very informative and gave us a lot of options on how to ask for help when we feel lonely. Now we encourage you to share your personal experience, anything you want to tell us about your experience with Técnico. We have a lot of questions in the chat. I can start by the first one.
I've read some of those.
Okay.
For me, so maybe I can try to answer, and we can save time because they are on the chat. So I can I want to separate, sorry for the confusion with the videos. We tried our best, but it didn't go that well. Anyway, I think that we must separate two things, and this is the beginning of the answer to the question that Fabio and Nivea, I think, have made. Yes, sometimes we really have to ask for help when we are not feeling well. What are the signs? This is one question. What are the signs that we are not feeling well? One sign that I believe is very clear is when we feel apart from what is happening, far away from where the action is, far away from other people. And we feel, for instance, there's no one who calls me, I don't have anyone to call, and I spend my days this way. Obviously, if this is happening, and it is not my choice, because sometimes people will need to quiet down and to just stay quiet for some time for it because they are concentrating on studies or anything, it's okay. But mostly if you feel like this, and if you have, we said this in the slides, if you have this feeling and also you start having difficulty in sleeping too much, sleeping too little, eating too much, eating too little, and having small physical and physiological problems, anxiety, depression, if you feel like crying all the time, it means that you really need help. What we are doing here today, I believe, does not have so much to do with asking for help, but has more to do with connecting, with not feeling isolated. So if I have to give an advice on what to do, I would say anything goes, whatever works for you. As long as you connect to other people, I would say do it. I can give you a small example. I have this group of friends we usually met, for instance, once every month, but now we decided to meet every week. And this is just one idea. I think that if we cannot have the richness of personal contact, I think we should increase the contact by using Zoom or Skype or FaceTime or whatever allows you to speak to people you like. Another idea is, I usually say, you have 5 fingers in your hand. This means that you should have at least 5 people that are so close to you that if you want to talk to them and if you need someone to talk at 5 a.m. in the morning, you can. And this means this is the sort of antidote for isolation. I know I have people, and you can say, why 5 people? Well, because one thing that happens is sometimes our friends, for some reason, are not available. So if I only rely on 1 or 2 friends, sometimes it may happen that I feel isolated because my friends are not available. If I have 5 or more friends, I can do it. Another thing is, with this isolation, I think we can get used to this. And so sometimes to go to Técnico, to meet a friend, even to make a Zoom call or a FaceTime, sometimes is getting outside of our comfort zone. And so my invitation is, do go outside of your comfort zone. It's not good not to speak with people who know you, and do that more often than maybe you would if this was not the situation. So the last question for me, I believe, is from Fabio. If I think we are going to stay the same after this ends, I don't know, Fabio. But I don't know. I've been reading a lot, and especially even before this talk, I've been reading a lot on what clever people say on this, and I invite you all to read, but I would say that probably this will be a game changer in many ways. The thing is, I don't really know how we are going to change, but I hope, really hope, that this is a good eye-opener to tell us that we need people, that we need real connection, and that even if the internet gives us lots of things, even if we can study online, nothing compares to a connection with a teacher, to a connection with a colleague, to going outside, to smiling, to hugging people, to kissing people, to knowing new people. So I hope, really hope, that the big change, and some authors say that it will be like in the crazy 20s when this is all over. We will all have a great party and we will all be very happy and celebrate the end of this ordeal. But just the same, I believe that we will value connection more than ever. So start doing it now. Build the connections you want to live in the future when this is all over, and you will have a chance to know people, not just, online. So this is my belief, and well, some authors agree with me, and so I believe this is the future. I hope I have answered the questions on the chat.
There are still some questions for Carolina. I'm going to read them out loud because we are live streaming to YouTube, and they don't have access to the chat. So I think the first one for Carolina specifically is from João, and he asks, how can we increase the sense of belonging in Técnico? Besides the existing project, is it enough for the construction of a healthy community?
Well, clearly it is not enough, because students are reporting feeling lonely. So we must understand first what are the motive besides the pandemic situation, and what can we bring to students to promote this connection. Because as Isabel said, it is this connection that will help to create the sense of belonging. We have to connect with each other, with colleagues, with professors, with the structure of Técnico, and that will help to build the sense of belonging. But it's a two-way path, so it's also on the hands of the students to move towards Técnico. And we are open to all the suggestions. So usually our activities, they are created from students to students. So that's the best way to have successful initiatives, is to have the people that need them suggesting and helping creating it. And if students want to be involved, they should reach to us, okay, to the Student Support Unit, and get involved with us and start co-creating something to overcome all these issues.
Thank you. We have someone who wants to answer, but from
PhD students.
Okay. So he asks, Luis, I'm not finding his question.
I can read it. I'm a PhD student at Técnico. Carolina, do you want to?
No, indeed, 25 years ago, because the higher education was very elitist, and then it opens to everyone. They already knew the campus, the colleagues, the facilities, what they are, and have third cycle students' experience, because he felt that need when he arrived at his PhD. And there are very different realities. There are some departments that have very structured programs, and they have welcome actions and very guidance through the program. And others don't have this structure, so we need to know this reality and build something together.
Thank you, Carolina. I can talk a little bit of my experiences. Somehow different than Louise. I know Louise, but Louise transitioned to PhD directly, I guess. I worked outside Technico for 3 years and then I came back. So my transition was different, but I felt the same exactly. So this kind of sense of belonging, we have a strong one when we are on the first cycle, on the second cycle. And I get it, it is like crucial, especially because we are younger at those education cycles. And we really need, there's a big change happening, and we really need to belong at Technico to make sure everything goes all right. But PhD needs that too. This is not a question of the younger age, of course. We are a little bit more mature, and my example and Luis, we already had a very good experience at Technico. So the integration was not especially important for us, but we have a lot of colleagues, international colleagues, even national colleagues that didn't do the first and second cycle on at Technico that really needs this. And we see now, and we are talking about third cycle students, but we can talk also about international or national researchers that are not specifically doing a PhD, and also professors. And Portugal is attracting a lot of international talent, and we need to keep them here. So this is also a strategy of Technico needs to pay attention for this sense of belonging at Technico. And we see, I was talking about some examples of our colleagues that are international colleagues and international researchers that came and only know their supervisors or their the directors of their department. And this is a problem at Technico. For sure, it's a problem for other universities in Europe and all over the world. And I remember, Carolina, you talked about an example in Korea, I guess. We had some students from Korea, and they had the other types of projects. So I also ask people that are present in this session, if you have any suggestions that you can put them on this table for us to discuss. Maybe there's some different approaches to this problem and also different solutions. I don't think a one and only solution is enough, for sure, and Technico has a lot of different solutions. So we need to integrate different people. That is the problem, not the number of projects. I think it's the focus group. And the same for staff that is not a professor or a researcher. So we are talking about researcher and professor. We cannot forget all the other important staff members in a university that needs this sense of belonging also to be happy and be close to the community and be successful in this environment as well. Yeah.
I would just like to read a message from Nivia, who shared her experience as being a foreigner in Portugal, an immigrant. And she said, as a foreign person, sometimes I feel that people who do not have English as native language do not have the patience to approach other foreign students. Even as a Brazilian postdoc, I felt that the age gap and hierarchy between students, professor, and researchers made this even worse. And
maybe I can comment something on that. I understand, and I am empathic towards what Nivea is sharing, and I can see that there are some more foreign students here in this session, and I can also see that Denise Mora, who is from the international office here in yes, Denise, thank you for coming. They also have some special activities for international students, so I would also leave the room for Denise if she wants to add some more things to the ones that we have said. But I believe that the main thing, Nivea, is yes, sometimes it's difficult and there are many barriers. It can be hierarchical barriers, it can be language barriers, it can be cultural barriers. Yes, it is true, but I believe that we must always try, and I know you do, Nivea, we must try to connect. And if we can't find anything that we can connect to, we can always come to people like me, Denise, or Carolina, and just say, oh, I don't feel there's anything I can connect with, or a group of people I can talk to, or I would like to propose an activity, or things like that. And I know from personal experience that myself, Carolina, and Denise will be open to help in that. And Francisca started by saying this. In fact, some students came to me with these worries, and we started this together. And I believe it's important that we move when we are unhappy or unsatisfied and look for solutions.
Isabel, let me just share some thoughts with you. Thank you for presenting me. I was in silence, just attending the session. In fact, the International Affairs at Técnico support, of course, all the students, but definitely we give more attention to the master and bachelor degrees. The PhD students are not treated as by us as the other students, but of course we welcome all of them in the same way. And the reason for this is because related to the mobility, the majority of the students that use the mobility facilities are students from bachelor and master degrees. Even if this opportunity is open for PhD students, in fact, there are not many students using this facility. And in the case of the admissions office, we in fact deal with all the applications from master and bachelor degrees. So the PhD students are, I think it's because it's not a question of, in nowadays it's not correct, I believe, but in the past, in the near past, usually the students that came to a PhD are students that are more focused on the research and usually also working already in the work market. So I believe this is one of the reasons why we don't even have a mentoring system for PhD students. But I know that in nowadays, this is not the reality. We have many students, younger students, finish the master degree and starting the PhD directly. So it's something that we can improve. We can do it better, of course. But I can only confirm that, of course, the international affairs area are available to help all the students in the same way, but this is the reason why we don't have many contacts with the PhD students.
Thank you for clarifying that, Denise. I want to ask if there's any more questions. We are 5 minutes after the time, but oh, okay, good. I'm going to read your question, Stefania. I am a second-year master's student from the InnoEnergy program, and I did my first year in Poland. I think, it makes it more difficult to integrate within IST. I've been here since September and did not know about these groups and services. What could we do to make it better? Well, we can all brainstorm a little here, where we have people here who can really make a change. And I thought I couldn't make a change, and then I talked to Isabel, and apparently all of us did, all of our group did, our team. Hi. I think maybe I would propose a newsletter about groups and activities online that are happening every week. Do you have any ideas? Or does anyone have any ideas? Everyone is welcome to talk.
Yes, can I comment on that quickly, if that's okay?
Yes, yes, of course.
So I'm a current PhD student now here, but one thing they did in my previous university, it was to, at the beginning of the academic year, they had this kind of fair, I would say, in which all of these groups and activities were advertised. So from the very, very first day that you arrived at university, you knew what was going on. You knew there was going to be all of these different groups and all of these different activities. So I thought that was a really good idea, because from the get-go, you just knew what was all of the stuff that was going around you. So I think that's an approach to take. Obviously, with COVID, you cannot really have a fair or a get-together like that, but a newsletter or something like that would be really useful, at least, because I didn't know any of this was going on, and I just arrived as a PhD student, but it would have been very useful, yes.
I would like just to comment, Pablo, because we do such fair at the first year of the new income students from the first cycle and now the master cycle, because we know that they arrive at a specific week. So during that week, all groups of students and services, they join together and they go out to the place where the student is. So that students know all the things that's going on for their pathway. The problem here about, I think, the PhD and maybe this colleague that of InnoEnergy is that maybe you arrived at a different time of the academic year, and I think you have different times of the calendar. Okay, so we cannot organize such fair every day, but we can find a solution, knowing that you arrive in different times of the year. For example, we have the possibility to have a mentor by request. So we have students that arrive at the second phase, third phase, October, November. They know they can reach the student support unit when they go to the academic services. In the PhD is the postgraduate unit. So maybe we can find a way so that they can redirect the new students directly to us, and they can at least have a visit, know what are the facilities, all the students groups that they can get involved, and also think about a mentoring program, and maybe starting with one course. João made that experience by himself. He involved all the students, and I think they have a mentoring program of their own at the civil department. So I think we can escalate that, but we need the PhD students to do that. And also with international students, I believe that also happens, right, Denise? Sometimes they don't arrive at the same time.
Yes, there are not a specific date to arrive. It depends from the home institution, in your case, from InnoEnergy probably your academic calendar can be in some way different from ours, and or you cannot arrive in the same week of the welcome week that we usually call the welcome week. Even this year it was in a virtual system. But let me just complete that. Even yesterday, we changed some messages with Anna, and we forward the information about this session for all the mobility and international students. I believe that the students receive so many information by email that they don't even have time to read all the information. And this is a problem, and we know. But we usually forward and send all the information that we think it's important for international students to the mailing list. And this is obviously a very important session for international students. So we try to develop the information for all the contacts we have. Now depends on the time that the students can read the message and pay attention to the dates and the organization of the fairs and all the initiatives.
Francisca, maybe can I just add something? It's very quick. Thank you, Estefania and Pablo, for stepping in. It's really important that you give us your feedback, and I've learned something that I'm going to take with me. And I believe that Caroline and Denise are working with me in another project. And I believe that this idea of a newsletter, which combines all the initiatives from all quadrants and where you can go and know what is happening, might be an interesting idea to run. Just, to separate what's happening in technical and just at large, and just connect it with what's happening directly to students. So thank you very much for that idea. It was really useful.
Can I build up a little bit? I'm the local manager of the community, but I didn't do a master's in InnoEnergy. But the InnoEnergy works with master programs of 2 years with 2 different placings, like Estefania, she did in Poland, and now she's in Portugal, and a lot of people does the same within InnoEnergy programs. And the idea is for them to have the best experience in Portugal for 1 year, and they have 1 year only. I was just thinking of what we were saying, and I think for the first cycle students, there's also always a starter kit. So there's a full program of integration, and it comes with specific information, the starter kit and all that. I think this starter kit could be extended to all the new members of the community, even professors, with all these institutional information, like Estefania didn't know about these services of a mentorship. And InnoEnergy here at Technico could share this starter kit for all its students coming to Technico. And when I talk about InnoEnergy, I can talk about all the PhDs. So this starter kit can definitely be shared with all the departments, and when there's a new person coming, this is like one of the first emails they get with all this help, with some links from NDA, sorry, I haven't said this in English ever. But so the development, students development office, is that right? But yeah, so this starter kit should be extended to every person that enters the IST community. This can be a very good idea and a very good starting point to integrate new people.
May I?
Yes, I was going to say that.
João, just to say that in the case of InnoEnergy, even considering that those students came for a master degree, a double master degree, They are received at Técnico as mobility students at the beginning. So they all have a welcome session exclusively made by professors from the group of InnoEnergy. And even this year, we made it twice, in the first semester and in the second semester. So Pablo, probably, I don't know why you probably didn't receive this information on time, but in fact, in the case of InnoEnergy, the welcome kit is working even in the master level. Just to share this information with you.
Thank you, Denise. I'm saying this because I'm a PhD student of InnoEnergy, for instance. And yeah, PhD, now we all get it. It's a little bit different and we have to work on that. And I'm open and available, and I already said it to Carolina, so we can do something about it.
I think it's easy. We just have to duplicate what we have done for the master and bachelor degrees for the PhD students.
Yeah, with some little constraints
Specific,
that need
yeah.
some adaptation, but I think it's easy enough to overcome this. And also there's Luis here and Fabio. They belong to the PhD Students Club, and they are now creating this network of the PhD students at Técnico, and for sure they will be a very good source of mentors, for sure.
I would just like to make a suggestion. I was thinking, before we started talking about the welcome kit, I was thinking about a little different welcome kit, like an actual file, zip file, with video presentations while we're studying from home, with video presentations about the different clubs. Because when I was in my first year, we had a little. It was not a fair. It wasn't very big, but we had percurso. We had a way to follow after our after we enrolled after we got in and we enrolled. We had to follow the steps, and we would go table by table to meet the various student groups and things we could do. And there was the students praxe, we had lots of student clubs and things, groups of students. Yes, they talked to us directly, but while we were at home, we could NAP, the support, the student support and unit could make this, ask the various student groups to make these video presentations, so that students could see it in their own time, and then it could be sent to them as a starter kit when they get in directly, so there's not the time restraint. There's not a problem with when they get in, but this is just an idea. Okay, so if we don't have, we have some links here that Isabel left, so if you want to see them, they're probably very good. They're definitely very good. If you don't have any more questions or suggestions or anything you want to say, I think I'm going to share the presentation for our next talk. Here it is. It's going to be in Portuguese. Sorry, oh, this is not the one. Okay, this is the one. Okay. We're going to talk about, this is going to be a fail talk. Maybe Fabio, do you want to talk a little bit about it? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Unfortunately, I don't have my camera on right now, but I can talk a little bit about it. Yeah. So on the 18th of May, we will have Professor Zita Martins, and she will deliver a fail talk. So this is a talk in which she will share some personal or professional experience that in which she essentially failed and learned something from failing. And that's as much as I can reveal right now, but we look forward to this event, and join us, please.
And okay, so it will be in Portuguese, but we're going to add it to YouTube later on, as Nivea is saying in the in the chat, sorry. And thank you for coming. Thank you for participating. It warms our hearts.
Francisca, sorry. I would like to seize the moment also to share the next event of the community.
Yes, sorry. Yes.
Yeah, don't worry. Let me share this. So we are having a social innovation speaker series cycle this month, April. We will have 4 webinars. The next one is on the next Tuesday, and it will be about social innovation in sustainability of fashion. We will have 2 different speakers, Teresa Carvalheira from Fashion Revolution, Portugal, and we have Iris Krami from Renun, an app to make sustainable choices when buying clothes. So please, it will be on April 13th, so next Tuesday. And if you want to know some more informations, these are on our social media. Thank you very much, and thank you for the speakers for their intervention and all the and all this debate that was pretty good. Thank you very much.
See you next time. I hope you liked it. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.